If you're running a business, whether it's a startup or an enterprise, you need to know that AI applies to these two different business entities very differently. If you don't exactly know what the difference is between applying AI in an enterprise versus a startup, stick around because I'm going to talk about how exactly you can apply AI into your business if you're running a startup versus if you're running a larger enterprise. So what I mean when I say startup versus enterprises, startups are very young, they're very agile, very rapid growing, they're focused on innovation. They tend to compete with the more well established enterprises. Enterprises, on the other hand, are more structures, more mature business entities. They are larger, they have more employees, they have a bigger customer base. Enterprises have the market share, they are post product market fit. Startups might be, on the other hand, pre product market fit. They might be in the exploration stage. Considering these two different scenarios, a startup that is still exploring ideas and they're trying to develop a product versus a more well established enterprise that already has the product, has the product market fit, has all its customer bases, you're facing with two very different scenarios, and the way you apply AI on these two different scenarios is going to be dramatically different. So now let's focus first on the startups. How's applying AI into startup operation different from enterprises? Startups are very young, very flexible, very agile with innovation, and I would say AI is an enabler for innovation for a lot of startups. So here's the difference. With generative AI, we see tons of startups going and exploring different business ideas. And this is something new because generative AI is a bit more recent than non-generative AI. So when you have some new innovation, some new technology, you get a lot of financial potential. So it's very natural to have a lot of startups using generative AI. So if you're running a startup, you better focus on the generative AI and see how you can leverage generative AI. Startups need to focus on generative AI for a few tasks that are very specific to startup and the nature of startup. First is product development. So we know product development for startup is very essential. Why? Because most of the time they are pre product market fit. So they need to have a product, and the way they need to develop the product might be only possible thanks to the generative AI movement. So before generative AI, we didn't have a lot of these computer graphic, and video generation, or we didn't have, all these, generative voice or generative music and all of that, or a lot of chatbots that came out recently. Generative AI enabled innovation in terms of product development. Second, we have rapid product prototyping. So if you want to do rapid prototyping and you are in the ideation phase, generative AI can help you. If you want to create a software, you can use Copilot or even ChatGPT to write a code and test the code much faster than more established businesses can do using software engineers and web developers. Create a prototype of your product with generative AI if you are in the graphic domain, using Stable Diffusion, Dolly, or Midjourney very quickly. This is something new. Only we can do this with generative AI. And finally is the differentiation. So most of the time, the case is startups are trying to capture some market share, competing not with the other startups, but also with more established enterprises. Why? Because enterprises tend to be slow, more bureaucracy, they don't want to take risk. And here, leveraging AI helps the startups differentiate themselves and capture more audience for their product. Now, enterprises are more established entity. They already have their customer bases. They have the hierarchies and bureaucracy. They have more rigid structure. They cannot just go out and change their structure overnight. and chances are they're suffering from a lot of inefficiencies. So they can benefit a lot from optimization. What I would say is, if you're running a more mature enterprise, you are 5, 10 years old, it's better to focus on non-generative AI first. So you've heard about generative AI and you get this FOMO, fear of missing out, and you want to take advantage of AI, and that makes sense. But don't just rush to go and use some generative AI features or products in your workflow. First, let's start with the basics, the fundamentals. I see a lot of clients come to me and they want to go and do some generative AI project without having done the basic AI 101 homework, and that is like data management, data processing, data analytics, of good old fashioned machine learning stuff. So I would say let's go focus on the non generative AI, focus on optimization, and then over time you can introduce more recent, more risky products from generative AI, I would say. Here, if you're running a more established enterprise, larger organizations, you have pretty much two options. First is data analytics. You want to focus on forecasting, data analytics for sales forecasting, demand forecasting, market studies, for marketing optimizations, supply chain and inventory management optimization, all of that using machine learning and data modeling. Second, you want to focus on automation. Chances are there are a lot of repeated tasks being done in HR, data entry, in marketing, sending out emails, internal operation. You want to automate a lot of these tasks using AI, which might not be generative AI. It might be just, using the more traditional software-based artificial intelligence. Do those two things first, and then go for generative AI. Increase automation using generative AI, increase efficiency with having chatbots, and automating phone calls and things like that after you've done the basic AI projects. All right, there you have it. This is how AI can be applied differently in different scenarios for startups versus enterprises. Let me know about your experience with AI, what roadblocks you have and what problems you're running into when you're approaching AI in your enterprise or startups, and when you want to innovate or optimize your businesses using AI. My name is Amin, AI engineer and consultant. See you in the next video.